Good evening. I'm going to call to order this special council meeting. And we have no regrets, Madam Clerk. I wasn't loud enough. Good evening. I'm calling to order this special council meeting. And we have no regrets. And we have declarations of pecuniary interest from anyone? I don't see any. Our first and only public discussion item is the council's strategic planning session. And all that council will do is, after our conversation about it, pass a recommendation that the information discussed be received by staff to return at a later date. And I would like to kick off our discussion of our strategic plan by addressing a unique feature of our plan that new members of council might not make sense, actually, to every conceivable person in town, and new councilors might want to hear this. So if you'll turn to, I guess I want you to turn to page 12 and 13. We had the benefit, when we did this 12 years ago, of professional help, and we had very good input from Councillor Knoll, who has if not an affiliation, then a very strong affinity for the Disney organization. And it is widely believed in the corporate world that the most elegant vision statement and mission statement are the vision and mission statements of Disney World. And the vision is to be the happiest place on earth, and the mission is we make people happy. And the virtue of that is that everybody can remember it. We were unsuccessful in coming up with a mission statement as pithy as Disney, and instead we have the 138 words here that I will now read. And especially if you're new to this, I invite you to follow along. We create and preserve Canada's most livable community that enhances the natural, cultural, social, and economic environments. We achieve this by continuously improving programs and services that are both accessible and environmentally and fiscally sustainable. We are highly valued and widely celebrated due to the innovative and outstanding way we satisfy the needs of our residents, businesses, and employees. As a result, the process is as fulfilling as the outcome. We ensure our staff receive the same level of respect, commitment, and caring they are expected to deliver to the community. Now, as a mission statement goes, it's very long and it's hard to remember those 138 words, but it has been a marvelous mission statement, and it was aspirational when we adopted it, and I would submit that all of it has come true. We are widely celebrated. We've been recognized as the municipality with the healthiest finances of any municipality, to name one honor. And if you don't like that, Money Sense magazine decided that we'd gone from 30th to first place in their rankings in the same time period. So my reading of it is not meant to be any kind of criticism, only to say that's what it has been, and it has guided us well. Now, I did mention that it's hard to remember. When we got to striking our values, we did not have a particularly hard time settling on these 6. But when we got to the point of picking strategic goals, what wound up happening in order to get consensus, and for a strategic plan, we believed that consensus was worth the work, and it took us a fair amount of time to arrive at consensus. And what you will find, if you look at that mission statement, and you look at this list of sentences, you're going to find these there. And so what happened was the mission statement got unpacked into a list of 20 statements. For example, where it says, Canada's most livable community that enhances the natural, cultural, social, and economic environments. You find that number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10. So what happened is the few words taken to say it in the mission statement are given more words to essentially say the same thing. And the Council of the Day wanted to put that kind of stress on each element of the mission statement. Now, you can't have 20 goals and get anything done. It's a truism in business, and I think it applies to politics as well. Although I think the business and government comparison breaks down very quickly. I'm not going to slide down that slope tonight. When you look at the need to choose something to focus on, 5 is a big number. 3 is, in the corporate world, considered to be a slightly more focused number. And we've been fine with choosing 5, and we can choose any number we want. There's no requirement here. You can have 1, 5, you can have more. The more you have, the fewer you're going to get done. The more dilute you spread your attention. Now, so if you look at the areas of focus with me now for just a moment, you'll see good governance, environmental leadership, economic growth, fiscal sustainability, and outstanding service to residents. So I'm going to short form those 5, and I'm going to invite you to go up to the strategic goals, and I'm going to suggest to you that number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and perhaps number 19 are good governance. And I'm going to suggest to you that number 7, 8, 9, and where's my other one? There's another one.
13.
Thank you, 14. No, not 13. Thank you. So 7, 8, 9, and 13 are environmental. And then I'm going to suggest to you that number 10 and where's my other one? Number 17 are economic.
What about bonus and everything?
And on 14, I'm going to suggest that that is fiscal. Number 4. And then I'm going to suggest that 11 and 12 and 15 and 16 and to a degree 17, because there can be overlap, and 18 and 20 are outstanding service. And what's happened to the areas of focus over the last 12 years is that other things have been there, but we've gravitated towards these 5, and it's no surprise to me that we would, because these 5, I think, serve as proxies for the entire rest of the list. And there was, every time we had a new council, there were people who said, well, we can't choose these 5 because we want to do these other things too. And the staff have always said, we do all of them, but you know, where do you need, what needs attention? That's the attention list, not the only list. And what I'm trying to do by inviting you to look at the categories they fall into is to suggest that all of them are in fact being done when you choose these 5 areas of focus. Now, you can choose any ones you want. I'm not saying this to try to get you to choose these 5 again. I'm only trying to offer you a different perspective on the list and to give you the history of how we got to it. And with that, I'm going to call on our town manager, our CAO, 14 years, I heard him say earlier today, but I think it might be 12, Mr. Ray Green.
Be 13 in May. So you might wonder, how does the CAO deal with 20 goals and areas of focus? Well, I have a little video for you. And I'll click there, and then I'm going to, for those who can remember, the Ed Sullivan Show, setting all those spinning, and you will see there's an area of focus on the whole. They're the ones who work out steel posit there.
Eventually, he does get them all going. But
He does, he does. In fact, there was, I think when we went on YouTube, there were about 20 or 30 people who actually practiced the art of spinning plates, and this is the one we decided to go with. As the mayor has said, one of the things that we went through with Dr. Chris Bart, who assisted us in actually putting the plan together in 2006, was so that you would have areas of focus. And when the mayor spoke to the mission statement, the work that was done, in fact, there were 18 of us involved in preparing the strategic plan. 6 of you are still on council, including the mayor. And Dr. Bart gave us all homework. And that night, we were to go home, work on preparing a mission statement for the corporation. And when we came into that first meeting, we had 18 of them. Dr. Bart put us in groups of 2 to get it down to 8. He then put us in groups of 6 to get it down to 3. And then in the end, collaboratively, we produced that mission statement that you currently have there, again with some tweaking by Dr. Bart. Tonight what we're looking for is to confirm those areas of focus and recognizing there may be some interest in change in that discussion, as the mayor has said. But the other thing that we're looking for, and Jane will lead you through that discussion, Jane Kurtimosh will lead you through the discussion on what your priorities are for as councillors over the next 4 years. And what we will do is take that away. We're out with the public right now doing our public survey to get input from the public. We will then, within about a week or so, we're meeting with the town's broad senior management team of directors to look at where we see our master plans and things that will take us over the next 4 years. And then we'll be back to you in April, which brings together the input that we've gathered here tonight, the input from staff, the input from the public, and we'll bring you a draft. And that'll get into another discussion, which will result, hopefully, in a final plan by the first council meeting in May. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jane.
I'm just going to rearrange these easels for a little bit. Didn't want to block the screen, anybody's view before they
The spinning
before the
part.
show. Yeah, that's right.
Really important.
Let's see the joke.
He's dead.
So it's a disease.
He was caught in the trap. That's right. They had a rat farm. Oh, there's an old
Personally, I like tiny mice because they have just tight to see the day.
That's right.
So you'll notice in the handouts that you have, we reordered them a little bit just because of the questions we were getting about where did the goals come from. So I just reordered them so they actually specifically aligned with the order that you see them in your document in terms of the values being the last. And I've separated them out because they are a little bit different, but they're equally important in terms of, as Dr. Bart would say, you make it a goal if you want to achieve it. So that's why you see them all listed as well. So in your pre-work, we can do this different ways if you'd like, but I was just going to use some dots. I was going to ask each of you, we asked each of you to come up with your top 5 areas of focus off the list. If you have something that you want as an area of focus that's not on the list, we can write it on this flip chart and keep a running tab of those as well to take away. But it helps us visually see where council is. And if it's all right with you, Mr. Chair, I'll just go around the table unless you have a specific order.
it's all yours.
Okay. So, not to put you on the spot as a new counselor. So if you thought of 5, and again, if you have more than 5, you couldn't get it down, that's okay too. I'll flag them, but I will put the green sticker on your top one because I think that's one we really want to make sure that we covered.
I'm just going to pull up my notes.
And once we finish the 5, then we'll come around again and we'll look at your priorities that you have for your ward. So we'll do them as 2 separate exercises.
So you want the non-ward priorities?
No, out of these goals,
Yes.
first I want to start with the goals.
Okay.
What we required.
So I think that for us, generally, it would be, and Councilor Farmer can add to this, I think it would be to enhance our social environment.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Shana. The second, if we're going to go with a ranking program, I'd say cultural environment. Environmentally sustainable. And the last for me, is that how many do I have? Three? Sorry, addition is not my strong suit.
That's okay.
I'm going
If
to
you
say.
have less than 5, that's okay too.
Okay, so I only have 4, that's
That's
okay. I'm going to say number 12, which is to be highly valued and widely celebrated for innovation.
Did you, so with businesses, employees, or
I'm going to say 12.
residents?
Oh, sorry, yes, 11. My mistake.
And as the mayor pointed out, that they're very overlapped.
Yes. That's it from my perspective, but I'm sure Councilor Farmer has some more.
Okay.
Thank you. So for me, it's 15, 17, and number 4, please. I need to think about the rest.
Okay.
Don't worry about the feedback.
I'll just talk loud.
You can go again.
Hello? Okay, thank you. So when I looked at number 1 and you rearranged, that seems to be the vision. So I wasn't really sure about putting it as a strategic goal. But that's the top line. So that's, I'm not saying that I'm not putting it on. I'm just saying that it's, so it should be there, but it's already in the vision statement.
It does, it underlines it.
Right. So I do have, I didn't actually rate them, I just took 5. So to be fiscally sustainable, to continuously improve our programs and services, to enhance our economic environment, cultural and natural environment.
6 was our second.
Yes, I have. Continuously improve cultural and natural.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Adams.
So I chose to be fiscally sustainable.
Oh, big surprise.
There's a surprise, I know. And then I kind of drafted my own, and so they don't follow the list of 20. Some of them might end up falling into categories that are consistent with the 20, but they're, I wrote my own because I felt that the 20 list didn't accurately or wasn't specific enough to what I was trying to get to. So I had a to control growth. I had a to protect green space and the environment. I had, I had a to build and renew infrastructure.
Can I take all of mine back?
No.
And I had a to deliver excellence in our service delivery.
Or to deliver in.
To deliver excellence in our service delivery. Maybe it's too many delivers, but in any case.
Councilor Graham.
In the interest of being expeditious, I'll just say number 5, which is the economic environment. Number 6, improved programs and services. 8, environmentally sustainable. 9, fiscally sustainable. And then 15 to be accountable and making.
Great. Councilor Noel.
In no particular order, 8, 9,
Okay. All right, you don't want to use a green then?
89, 1. One at the top.
Just joking. Give her a second. Oh, see, look what you did.
Okay. Yep.
15. And, oh dear, I said 1 twice. What was the other one?
Well, we did switch them maybe, so did you have,
What was 1 originally?
one would have been accountable.
Oh, so I did that one.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that one, so it's 15. Oh, I did say
You
15.
did
So
say
that's it.
15, so you did.
So I've only got 4.
Yeah, that's okay. Mayor Burton.
Number 1 is never numbered. So, sorry, I misled you. Go on, my green one on number 9. And then I would like to choose I'd like to choose next, number 8.
Say trend number 8.
I'd like to choose number 6.
That'll be our tops.
I'd like to choose number 5. And number 14 for 200, please.
I just realized what my 5th one was. It's number 6. Sorry.
At some point, if I have to go to the thing, don't worry, I'll give it the same consideration as the orange. That's what I'll do.
So number 2, I picked 6 and then I added 1. So number 2, number 3. I went off script. Councillor Adams did it. Number 6, did I say? No, number 6. Number 8. Number 9. And then number 14. And then I kind of, so the one that I made up, so to use innovative ways to support residents, businesses, and employees. And you can either use innovative ways or innovation, because there was 3 of them that were kind of talking about innovation, so I kind of brought them into one. To support residents, businesses, and employees. And that's it.
Great. Let's go.
Number 4, number 8, number 3, sorry, number 1 is 3rd. Number 15 is 4th. And the one to become economically feasible, financially sustainable, where's that one? Number 9, that's it. Thank you.
Pass it to you.
So number 5, I cheated 2, I actually wrote up different ones, but, so I'll go number 5, I'll go number 6, number 3, number 8, and then I cheated as well, so number 9, and then I will endorse Councillor Longo's, because I was looking for a way to get in, to be innovative in how we approach these.
So much for honesty with stickers. Number 3.
All right.
Number 1, I said it wrong.
5. 9. 21 and 22.
You got me, yeah, okay.
There's always one.
Do you have?
The top one's 21, then 22.
Oh, okay, all right. And, we can look at, and what we'll we'll do when we take it away is we'll look at what are the strategies to achieve the goals as well, and so it allows us to reach more broadly. You look.
Oh, the only reason- oh, no, I gave the wrong number 1.
Oh.
I had it on number 4. It should go to number 2.
It's trying harder.
For the natural environment instead of the social environment. Yeah, no, I just looked this up because I was going on a different sheet altogether.
Well, I'm going to throw a screw into this whole mechanism here compared to the rest of my colleagues. I believe 1 to 5 are your strategic goals. The rest of them below that are your guiding principles. I'm looking at very high-level strategic goals, and it's on page 13 of your document, our areas of focus: good governance, environmental leadership, economic growth, fiscal sustainability, and outstanding service to residents. And then everything else falls under that under guiding principles.
Yes, and those do, okay, so won't put the stickers on, but I'll.
And you mean I don't get any stickers?
Well, you know what?
Put them on his forehead.
Oh! Mr. Chair.
I've got Rebecca making notes, so she'll know the areas of focus.
Well, it will come as no surprise because the two of us met and discussed, and I'm of a similar stage in the fact that to be good governance, a lot of these things flow out of good governance. But then I realized that might be my understanding and not necessarily someone else's. So maybe trying to wordsmith it so someone understands what good governance means is the concern there. And the only other thing I had under service was engagement. I think that's something we really have to work on.
And we have one on
I forgot about engagement.
a process, really, that's it.
Fulfilling as the outcome, I think that speaks.
Well, but service engagement to me is that interaction two-way. Yeah, we provide a service, but it's actually engaging them in that process. So, I mean, we had something somewhere here about a process, but to me, it's different. So engagement.
Yeah.
Meaning public engagement? Public engagement.
Public engagement, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
It's not a one-way.
Alan, did you hear that? Just checking if you listen. You didn't miss that part, did you? Okay.
Did Ray get his sticker?
No. It's making noise.
Kids, don't make me.
You know, those 5 areas of focus were chosen by the last council for a reason, and it's quite okay to want to continue them.
Sure.
That's not surprising. They don't change too much from council to council.
My first one is number 4. My second is number 2. My third is number 5. My fourth is number 2. And my fifth is number 9.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
2?
Yeah, and 9.
Okay. Councilor O'Meara.
Thank you very much. And I have 3 specific ones, and I say this not because I think they're more important than the others. I just happen to believe that being fiscally sustainable or being honest in everything we should do should be truisms for everyone, and I don't think it should be something we set out to do once every 4 years. So I think there's a number of these strategic goals that all fall in. We should just be doing that without deciding it specifically for this 4 years. Let's be dedicated in everything we do. I'm not really sure how that comes on a list, but the 3 things that I would like to say, to advocate on behalf of the town and its residents, especially now more than ever. Yes, sorry, that's a new one that's not on the list.
That'll be a new one.
I'm not choosing numbers, I'm making them up like Councillor Adams on the fly here.
Oh, boy, way to start it.
His weren't either because we didn't.
So it would be to advocate on behalf of the town and its residents. Secondly, to create neighborhood livability. And lastly, to foster an environment for culture and entertainment. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. So, I mean, you can just visually see there's a couple of areas that, you know, there's broad understanding. And what we do when we take them away, because there's quite a few that have this similar amount, is we do look at how we can bring things together, and with some of the new ones to come up with 5 was what we try to do. And that's what we'll bring back to you when we come back in April.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say it. I really think we should pause and go back through them again, because some really good ones were raised that people hadn't considered. And maybe it's because I'm new, but if we're going to own this thing, I think it's more than just the 20. It really is about how we, like, hearing each other and trying to kind of pull that and say, okay, well, yes, we see that there's 6 or 7 on one, but there's some new ones here that I think maybe people might reconsider. And say, no, that one.
If anyone would like to change one of their stickers,
Would you like to change one?
I'll start at the...
Sure. Can you add a sticker next to Councillor Adams's control growth? Also his number 2. And his number 3. Thank you. Do I have to take away others?
So you're up to...
I'm not to...
She's 9, but he's counting.
I had 4 before, so 7. Do you want me to take away 2?
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
That's the...
You're new.
Yeah.
I get a free pass for now.
Do you have any you'd like to
I wanted
do?
to add to control growth as well, so that'll be my 4th. And I'll let you know my 5th one.
Councillor's Jenna. Right. What, take away one of yours?
No, I'm happy with what I put down, and I'm not sure how you're best to take the mishmash, I'll say, of stickers and pull them all together. I think that'll be a great challenge, and to try to make them crisper, I think is going to be a great
And that's
challenge.
exactly what we'll do, and we'll listen to what we hear from the public, and we'll get the input of senior staff in terms of, you know, what's in the works for this term of council, in terms of the master plans and how we can come up with something.
You also asked us all to create a word-by-word list.
Yes.
And I'm not sure to what extent everyone's done that. I mean, we do have a list, a Ward 6 list that we prepared, and some of it, I think, might fall neatly into a category, some of it I'll describe as miscellaneous, extra pieces. Not to say that they're not important to us, but they don't fall into one of these categories nicely. How do you intend to take that and marry it together with this?
So what we see coming out of the ward session, which we'll do after this, as you say, some of it will populate the goals. Some of it may be almost more at the task level. And again, we'll take it away to staff to look at what's in work plans and see what can be accommodated in existing work plans. Where there's things that can't be, that's what we'll be coming back to council when we come back in April. We'll have a plan, and we'll identify the things that might not be able to be accommodated, or the trade-offs that might have to be made if we're not able to achieve everything within this term of council.
So are you okay with waiting to finish this rethink or
Yes.
revote, and then we'll move to board tasks?
Yes.
Councillor Grant?
Well, I think this goes back to the process of it. And frankly, I mean, there's nothing I would change at this point. I'd like to see what the results are from public input and everything else. In April, we're going to have another kick at it, so.
Yes, we'll bring a draft plan back, and then it'll give you a little time to also talk to your residents about it.
Right, so I'm good to see how this works.
Anybody that wants to, I can repeat the advice in one of Don Henley's songs. take a picture of this, you know, to reflect on and think about. Councillor Knoll?
What's your second Don Henley response to that?
The man of the century.
Generally, I'm okay with the points that I picked. I didn't know that we were going to be following the example of the Uba Keener from Ward 6, but I do have one I'd like to add, if that's okay, and that's to get traffic moving. Because I think if there's any issue that I heard loud and clear at the door.
I don't think that's strategic.
I think it is, actually. I think the moving people is as important as providing accessible programs. So I think it's foundational in my mind, and it's my opinion. So Nan, yeah.
I was going to say.
This is what happens.
I don't need to change anything, Councillor Longo.
I'm fine.
If you flip back the sheet, thank you. So the first one there is, I go to 22. I thought it tied in with the natural environment, but I'm willing to throw one on that one. And the next one also. I'll go to controlled growth also with that. 22, it'll be 21 and 22, I guess. I see them tying back to what we already have. It's just how we pick the words. Thank you.
It's exactly. I think you'll see we can tie all of them back into a broader goal and look at, when we get down to the strategy levels, we'll absolutely look at that.
I'm just trying to get more weighting on the environmental side.
Sure. That's fine, Councillor.
So I would like to put a sticker on protect green space and the environment, but I'd also like to put a sticker on foster an environment for culture and entertainment, because I prefer those words than to enhance our cultural environment. I think that Councillor O'Meara nailed that one, and kudos.
Thanks.
Councillor Gibbons?
The same comment in terms of the foster the culture on the next page there. Worded somewhat better.
Councillor Chisholm?
Nope. Nope. I would take my fiscally, if I gotta get to my 5, I'd take my fiscally sustainable. We'll let everybody go. Then I want to go to Sean's on the other page about the advocating. Or, the advocating on behalf of the town residents.
And that's as councillors, you're saying?
Yes, which would go to control growth in so many of the other areas right now, so.
Yeah, I think, as much as we do work with our regional partners and our AMO partners and our FCM partners, we've never shied away from standing up for ourselves, and I think now's more important than ever to do that. I'm not going to add any more, but I will say I spent quite a bit of time looking at Guelph's strategic goals and Halifax's and a number of them, and they had a lot of really great things on there that I think maybe moving forward we should look at integrating into our box. We've been doing this box for 12 years, and some of the new councillors might not know there are other elements that could go in the box. But yeah, I'm happy with that, and I look forward to another kick at the can.
All right, thank you.
Right.
So that,
Can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
Can you reword mine to that traffic one, just to change it to it, just so it's similar to the strategic goals and call to enhance mobility? So that it's similar to the other strategic goals, which are to enhance, to enhance, to enhance, to enhance. If you could change that to enhance mobility, I think that's a more overall, overarching strategic initiative.
I agree.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Still not getting it.
It still doesn't tell me what that means.
and I think, as you know, and in our overall planning framework, we have council strategic plan, we also have master plans. I'm pretty sure that's probably a goal of the transportation master plan. So it's not, it's absolutely in the right vein. Okay, so that was...
So now you're going to lead us through ward wishes?
Ward wishes, and again, we'll just say we're not here to judge any initiatives. We're here to just get your input. We will take them away and come back with a plan that is achievable for your term of council. So we, based on all the input we've received. But tonight, we really just want to get your input.
Can I suggest that we start with number 1 this time?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to try to write as we go, but I do have somebody taking notes, and if you have them, if you've already typed them up and you want to send them to me after the meeting, that would be terrific as well. We'll just stick these up on the wall so you can see if you've done the work of aligning your initiatives with a particular goal, you can let us know as well. If not, that's okay.
Thanks, Jane. So,
Now, did you two work together as a ward?
oh, we had a chat, but I think Beth's probably might have some of her own comments. But we had a good conversation about a number of things, and actually my strategic goals closely align, ironically, with priorities in the ward. So, a community improvement plan for the Bronte area would be one. And secondly, again, that neighborhood livability area, especially up in the north part of Ward 1. And then
After we finish, by the way, if we have any questions as we put it together, we'll also come back to you during the intervening time.
And then to work on the culture and entertainment aspect in the ward, which would include Harper's and BIA in those areas, sort of where the action happens.
And the BIA.
One of my biggest wishes is for a sense of town versus just neighborhoods, so that the people in the north don't feel like a separate entity to the people in the south, that we bring more things together for them. Especially now since we have a ward that encompasses both.
Okay, and now we'll start with, we'll put them all up so you can see them. And if you have something that you like from another ward, yeah, feel free to steal it. Okay, Ward 2.
Okay, let's work. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, maybe it'll take a minute. Okay, number 1 is drainage concerns in the older areas. That would be more South Oakville, I would imagine, but we're experiencing a huge amount of impact in regards to that. Number 2 is speeding. Specifically Queen Mary, but other areas as well. But Queen Mary seems to be the top one that's identified. Number 3 is the redevelopment of the top of Kerr. That's something we don't have control over, other than being open to dialogue or possible input from people who have come up with some ideas. We've had scenarios floated in the past, but it's becoming more and more of a, we need to get going on that. And I know it's identified in our OP.
Not the underpass.
No. This is the old Oaktown Plaza, where you've got food basics and that. Not the other side.
Thank goodness.
Okay? Sure.
Is it to see something happen there?
It's see something happen there, or even,
fixing
I don't want to say a planning shred, or something to just sort of give people some certainty that we're looking at it, because right now they say it and they keep thinking it's like a white elephant, you know. And I think once the CN underpass takes place, it's really going to be apparent that you've got one side of the road that's really thriving, and then the other side is kind of. Number 4 is, and it comes under BIA, the gateways. One of them is being addressed through the CN underpass, but I'm thinking down at the bottom of Lake Shore and Kerr, where our dear friend Mexicala Rosa was, and the lights along Lake Shore. We've been working, it's been a long time goal to get some sense of continuity going along the Lake Shore Road streetscape to tie in better with downtown. Right now, it seems to stop at the bridge. And number 5 is the stable residential neighborhood protection, and I know that comes under the residential study that we're doing, character study, but it's still top of mind, especially with all the infill.
Yes, Kathy and I have gone over, but just a couple of minor ones that might fall under that is one, real concern is the infilling and the pressures on our residents that live in those areas. We need to keep that at top of the agenda with respect to the quality of life, livability in our stable neighborhoods. And I know there is a municipal enforcement strategy plan that this needs to be on top of the agenda too, especially for Ward 2, all the issues we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone that's driven down by the old hospital lately, you can see steel work up in the air, so that's really exciting. And we'd also like to see continued movement on the rest of the properties in the area. The seniors development, Brantwood, the balance of the hospital lands, so we can bring closure to some of those outstanding items. Organizational effectiveness, identifying process improvements. Alleviating duplication.
Oh, the big tough words here for me. Okay.
Advanced service effectiveness while reducing costs, however you want to shorten that one. Further progress on ATMP. Lakeshore Line go, for the Lakeshore Line GO trains in particular. That would be...
Sorry, for this?
Yep.
Like, okay.
Would be bracket modal split. And I think Councillor Duddick mentioned it in terms of traffic calming. Did you?
Traffic calming, all of that.
Given what we see on a regular basis, we could probably look at some of the new developments in North Oakville when they come through to P&D. And a number of us, certainly with staff's help, would probably certainly be able to identify future problems. So could we bake some things in, whether it be bump outs, chicanes, whatever, to help prevent it. Because we see the problems, right? And if we were to do some of our streets again, they probably wouldn't be done the same way.
There is. If I look at 310,
That's that.
on the green.
Councillor Haslett.
So our number one that Dave and I agreed to was the revitalization of downtown. And it's quite inclusive. So a great main branch public library and a larger performing arts center. A parking garage for downtown. Inclusive in revitalization of downtown is the economic development strategy that will actually attract mid-sized businesses and potentially a hotel. Because I think we can all agree when you read the mission statement, downtown is the heart and soul. If you want to talk about bringing the north and the south together, you want to talk about, protecting and advocating for our town, and we need to stand up for downtown. So, and the last part of under revitalization of downtown is just the waterfront development.
I'll get lost in that, that's right.
Is there something specific around waterfront development?
Event space. We have livable Oakville down, and under it we have 3 bullet points. One is, just as the others have said, residential policies for stable residential neighborhoods, which would also address the zoning challenges that we face. We have Midtown infrastructure. And the last major bullet we have is transit. So for us, access to the community center and to downtown, and a real-time app to get clear view in the southeast downtown is important.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more to go.
All right, Ward 4.
Okay, so number 1 would be environmental stewardship. So to ensure the protection and enhancement of lands in Ward 4 and beyond. Surrounding areas. They're all connected anyway.
And beyond.
And beyond.
We like drainage in Ward
Yeah.
2.
Toy Story 4 is coming.
The second would be the protection of established neighborhoods, respecting our official plan and zoning.
Yeah, that's true.
The third would be traffic calming, especially around our schools, our parks, and our seniors' residences. Fiscal management would be number 4. Well, related to also development paying for itself. Ward 4 will have its own taxes. That's right.
Well, that's what we're thinking here.
It's okay, you're thinking townwide.
Being trash talked by my fellow councillors, I appreciate that.
It's okay, we're
And
there
last,
for you.
We got you back.
drainage problems when we dam the water. Well, that's another story. And then the last one is to ensure access to town services and specific to Palermo's library being built, Glen Abbey Rec Center upgrades, which are underway, and transit hubs. And that's it.
Just on the area of the traffic comment, one of the big things that is the scarecrow cops, that we should look at that program.
Okay.
Oh, the scarecrow.
Scarecrow crops on the traffic comment.
Cops, not crops, right?
The scarecrow.
Cops.
Oh,
That's all you have to put it.
as a solution, was
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just look at it.
Do you want a sticker for that one?
Word forward. The last one was transit hub.
If only I had a brain. Oh, very good.
So that was don't stop now on those things.
That's right.
Correct.
I know it's always a relief to us, like, but you were working on those things. You're steady.
And I have 4 wishes.
Yes, you can.
I would like to have a viable option created to hold growth where provincial infrastructure has not either been provided or a believable plan, credible plan is in place to provide it on time for the residents.
Does that summarize it?
That's,
Where it's planned, or?
no, until, not where, until. Planned or delivered. It's got to be more than planned. We notionally plan schools now because we set a site aside, but then we wind up with subdivisions with no schools.
Okay.
So there's a delivery element here that I'm looking for versus just saying it's planned. I could accept a credible commitment to have it delivered, but
Yep.
no ticky, no laundry from now on is my attitude.
Check this out.
Second thing is we need to find ways to make growth pay for more growth. I'm not satisfied with the free ride on the taxpayer's back that growth is getting. Third thing is I would like to license tow truck operators. And because of the impunity with which stone cutting without water is being done in our town,
Yes.
and contractors and trades are abusing the neighborhoods around which they work, I would like to license contractors and trades for all construction, including new subdivisions. Because we've had trouble with good behavior there, just as we have in infill. It's time to get tough. Livability requires that these bad operators are brought under control. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to start, and Mark will follow up with some additional. Number one, it sort of ties back to what I said before. Actually, it exactly ties back to what I said before. Get traffic moving on our 3 major arterial roads in the ward. It shouldn't take 45 minutes to get to the GO train from Baldwin Dundas. add, enhance, and update facilities, especially in the College Park area. Specifically, I'm talking about our fire department, which was a temporary building which has now gone on for 50 years.
Is it really the fire station?
Add, enhance, update facilities. I'm referring to parks. We have some antiquated parks. We need more kids' play areas. I mean, a lot of that's already in process, but we need to keep our nose in the right. Yeah. College Park is particularly in need. I'd like to buy the St. John's School land when it comes offered to us. C point number 2. Specifically about upgrading facilities, because St. John's School will be a tremendous park facility.
Where is it? Where's St. John's?
It's on Mansfield, right near 60 Mile Creek.
Two trails intersect.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of property, and it's been surplus. See the Uptown Core succeed, including more community uses and facilities. Holy but a goodie. Did I say secede? We're seceding! Ward 8.
Well, you're getting your own taxes.
Ford will have something to say about that.
See the Public Works lands finally developed consistent with our work plan. It's been a pile of dirt far too long.
That's why you're gonna have to keep that.
See the Public Works lands finally developed consistent with our work plan.
Done it again.
We'll add a vote for traffic calming as well, with I think most of our other colleagues. This is a broken record one. Enhance parking standards, improve parking standards, increase parking standards for new developments. Provide more parking, however you want it.
Yeah.
Change the ratio.
So is it really specifically?
Require more parking, actually, yeah. Require more parking for new developments. Not like none of you have ever heard that before.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. License and restrict through zoning the location of vape shops.
Vape?
Vape.
Oh, vape.
Not a vape. No more vape shops.
It's not a diet, you know?
I don't like worms.
We can't
License
get
and
too
restrict
close to
through
the
zoning the
muffins.
location of vape shops, which is actually should be a town-wide thing, but we have one particular problem.
Well, some of this can be incorporated as town.
Double doors down from the high school. Not that I want to get specific. There's a map.
We have in here in front of us.
Those are mine and Mark.
We're going to run out of room here. Just to wordsmith one of them, actually, if that's okay. I changed it a bit to develop strategies to maintain smooth traffic flows through communities. And traffic is not just cars, but people, bicycles.
Okay. What's that?
But calmly.
Yeah, well, we've already got traffic calming. Yeah, we do. Okay, very good, folks. Just on
Traffic hysteria.
We're going to throw a vote towards. Oh, I'll let you finish. Sure. Throw a vote towards protect stable neighborhoods from overdevelopment. Yeah, particularly in College Park. Some of those older homes get turned into 3 lots. And you're going to run out of room because I've got a couple more.
Okay, I'll go to page next. I might as well stand up then.
Yeah, that's. I have bad news. I feel bad for you having to okay. Enhance cultural and entertainment opportunities throughout the community.
Cultural and?
Entertainment opportunities.
But not big.
But not big. Got that? Okay. Create animation technology innovation hub in conjunction with Sheridan College. Attract satellite office space in the community so residents have less of a commute.
If you're lucky, you get one.
Attract satellite. No, that's not true. We've got all these office spaces. Both telecommuting spaces, whatever you want to call them. And finally, it wouldn't be me if I didn't go on about this, but identify and encourage more affordable housing throughout the community. That's us. Yeah, exactly. As we build places, we can.
All right. Ward 6.
So Natalia and I did our homework and we're ready to hand it in. Here you are.
That's good.
Points. Oh, well, I'm not ready yet. Good thing.
Yeah,
Good thing. Okay.
So anyway, there's some, I'll read them out.
I just want to know if there's more than Ward 5.
Well, first of all, I'm really happy to say that a lot of what we have on our list is consistent with what others have said here and there all the way down the line as we've come up. And so you'll hear, I think you guys must have gotten copies of this before, because you clearly, number one, green space protection and growth strategy to protect the interests of residents. So this is a ward-specific one, is expanded natural heritage system opportunity along Joshua Creek in the Parkway, Bayshire Woods, Iroquois Shore Woods area, where there's a provincial piece of land that could be acquired and kind of added into a larger set of lands there. B, parks maintenance, and that includes timely collection of garbage at parks and trailheads, forestry and creek area maintenance. C, respond to provincial changes to protect local interests appropriately. Sean, you mentioned a version of that as being an issue. Number 2 was protection of stable residential neighborhoods, and we've heard versions of this from a bunch of different places. It includes A, infill housing management, including safeguards and timeframes for construction. So like Ward 5 is seeing it in College Park, we're seeing it predominantly in the Bulgarwood area. Is it turning on and off?
It's the batteries.
Now it's back on. Nobody else needs to hear, apparently. Thanks. Battery's dying. I'll just keep going. B, look for opportunities to provide for appropriate student housing around Sheridan College. So Mark mentioned affordable housing. This is specific to the Sheridan College area. C, control the growth to areas of expected growth. We've got a plan. Let's keep to it, so to speak. Number 3, building and maintaining infrastructure. Continue rigorous asset management planning, review standards and priorities for arterial, collector, and local roads for road resurfacing. C, work with Halton to manage traffic issues associated with regional road construction projects such as the Trafalgar Road expansion. D, continue to support active transportation improvements. Number 4, keeping overall property taxes in line with inflation. A, consider options for financing stormwater management, and B, continue efforts to make growth pay for itself. So, we're hearing versions like this elsewhere. Number 5, prime employment land protection, protecting it from conversion to residential and to retail uses. And as an extra one is opportunities to help retail commercial lands be more vibrant, and in particular in the Oakville Place area, where Oakville Place has obviously been hit by a number of closures. 6, management of local road traffic issues. So this is the traffic calming, continuous improvements around traffic calming through introduction of new technologies like photo radar. D, work with Halton Region on advanced traffic management systems as appropriate. Number 7, improvements to contract management. This is a list of things we've noted in the past that we think could have some improvements, and that includes improved management of landscapers for planting quality, improvements to contract management to remove contractors from bidding who have performed poorly in the past, improved facility management construction standards, management to avoid early renovation requirements, like what we've seen at Iroquois Ridge, where Iroquois Ridge Community Center has it feels like it's been constantly under renovation because of the stuff that failed early on. I'll describe it as. And D, improve management of grants from federal, provincial governments or other agencies to avoid lost opportunities.
Great, I just put the main headers down.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And if you, and we can send that to you electronically if you want. Now I've got more mics than I know what to do.
I'm glad none of those things come.
Okay, Ward 7, last but not least.
Exactly. Okay, so to just start with the ones that have already been mentioned, holding the growth until the province delivers on planned infrastructure, schools primarily. And our list was basically primarily from, because we spent a lot of time door knocking, and this is what we heard from the residents of Ward 7, so a lot of them have already been mentioned. Traffic management, specifically Wheat Boom, 6 Line, North Park, 16 Mile Drive. And there's another vote over here for more parking.
I didn't get to, yes, I heard 6 Line.
North Park and 16 Mile Drive.
Did you also say Wheat Boom?
Yes, Wheat Boom. Yes, thank you. Improvement on community services and recreational services. While we wait for our community center that we'll keep harping on.
Put that while we wait.
Yeah. Yeah, and with the growth. Yeah. We have an extensive list here, so I'll let Jess go through it. Another one is the EV stations. That came up as well, and I think we might have an opportunity to review it with the developers because there's a lot of new condominiums going in towards 7, so that might be an area that we want to explore. And then I got the sense, and so did Jasvinder, I mean, we've lived here I've lived here my whole life, and just been here for quite some time, but a lot of residents in Ward 7 are very new to Oakville. They're not from other parts of Oakville. They've moved completely from a different city. And I know we do have engagement with our residents that we do online, but I don't know if there's a way that we can send, like, even something simple, you know, with their first property tax bill, like a one-page newsletter, just like a welcome to Oakville, and like the primary, these are the numbers you call, just to kind of have them engage in the new town that they've moved to. Someone in staff was telling me that a funny statistic that like 30% of the people in Ward 7 didn't even know there's a lake in Oakville. So things like that, I think we should engage more. There's a lot of disconnect.
I'll give them a compass.
Right? So if like a newsletter, I know we do a lot online, but something that just kind of goes out, something they could put on their fridge, something they know, okay, I'm in Oakville now, I'm an Oakville resident, and this is what I need to do to get connected. And I'll let you take over.
So just further to what Councillor Farmer was mentioning, so we already know that Ward 7 is developing at a higher rate, I think, than the rest of the other wards. So we were thinking about a review of urban structure generally. So we have Main Street growth and PIAs in other wards, and we're supposed to be a walkable community as well, especially around some of the higher density areas. But we don't have basic things like daycares and restaurants in those areas. The zoning there has been focused around, I guess, kind of like smaller storefronts. So that's something to review. And then we were thinking about sustainable design guidelines review for all upcoming construction. rec department is already working on like trail management and things like that, but we don't in Ward 7 have something that demonstrates what those boards or those trails are going to look like in the future and where the trails will be. And we need something that's going to be accessible online for that. We have a very young ward, and a majority of them use online tools. This is kind of tacking on to, I think, a lot of what the other boards were saying. We need the ability to be able to get through the GO station a little bit faster. So either bus rapid transit or a review of the arterial roads around the area so that traffic can actually move quicker. Us, like Ward 5, we're facing almost a 40 to 45-minute commute to get to the GO, on top of the 40-minute train commute, or 20 minutes, depending on if you're taking an express. And I think we just generally wanted to talk about marketing and online engagement, period. We are finding that some of the services that are available from the town, like after-hours engagement or after-hour services through Service Oakville, aren't something that people are generally aware of. They're not sure what numbers to call, where to go. We're not sure of all of them, so it would be helpful to have that. And just general online engagement increased. So we have, like I mentioned before, we have a really young ward with very young families. And considering the amount of time that both of us are on social media, I think that that would be very helpful from the town's perspective as well.
Okay.
I didn't say this earlier because it's already been unanimously endorsed by council, but we do have new councillors. I would like to add to my 4 wishes a 5th wish, which is that we work with the region to obtain from the province the ability to move ahead quickly on the Health Sciences and Technology Innovation District beside the hospital with its 10,000 jobs, which would do a lot, I think, to boost our economy, number one, but also worth noting, the mantra of the new provincial government is jobs, jobs, jobs. And if we're seen to be good at delivering it, maybe we can survive the governance review. I'd like to add, making the health, I mean, it goes by a number of names. Health science, life science. I think we need to add the word technology just generally, and the word innovation. These are, so life science, technology, innovation district is my mouthful for now. I leave it to better wordsmiths and marketers to come up with something. But we need to go to the province and get them to permit this to go ahead by whatever means they have. And for everybody's benefit, I was on a panel the other day with the head of Canadian Environmental Law Association. And she's a very distinguished lawyer. And she explained something that I'm not sure all of us know, and that some of which was news to me. She was criticizing the Schedule 10 of Bill 66 by saying there is already a well-established tool in the Planning Act called Minister's Zoning Order, which is constrained and it's responsibly constrained and governed by established case law. And it's not, so a Minister's Zoning Order is not some kind of Wild West shot in the dark. It's actually, it's established legal process that's well understood and well adjudicated, I'll say, to borrow her phrase. So it's a real thing, not a outlaw thing. It's a legitimate thing, is what I'm trying to say. And the province has other tools in their toolkit, and I think given their mantra of jobs, 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 we need to go tell them that they've been holding up 10,000 jobs there. While I'm on that subject, the province owns 40% of the land approximately in Midtown. Doing the infrastructure in Midtown requires those who will develop it to make an agreement to share the costs. The province, as you may understand, does not have the money to pay 40% of the infrastructure that we require to awaken the 8,000 jobs that we have planned for Midtown. And so 8,000 jobs is also a pretty big deal. And we ought to encourage the province to stop sitting on its land. It's literally in its own way in terms of achieving its stated goals in legislation for its designated urban growth center. It chose it, and they own the land. So we need to make them aware that they are in their own way. They are blocking themselves. And 18,000 jobs.
Since you're already over the board, under Ward 4, if you could just add one more thing, please. Put residents' needs first and foremost.
John? We're jumping down the big one.
Thanks, Your Worship, and just having gone first, Beth and I get the benefit of hindsight on this as well, and feeling like one of those guys who put his glasses on his head and then is scurrying around looking for them. Forgot to add parking onto ours, so maybe if Ms. Cordemanche doesn't mind, I will bear the black marker myself and just add it on if that's okay. And I think Beth had one as well.
And our second one was also speeding and traffic calming, because we've heard that a lot, especially about Bridge Road right now.
And my apologies, I thought it was still behind me. It's not, it's down there, so maybe I can leave that one to Jim.
Well, I'm sure we can trust them. Right?
Looking at the boards with all the comments, and the one I was looking at is the culture and the entertainment, and I'm very strong on this as a municipal look at, not just a ward look at, is a special event entertainment park for Oakville. I think we lose a lot of our tourism and a lot of our connectivity to our community not having something like that special for Oakville. So a consideration for that to be put up, please. Thank you.
She's writing it down.
Thank you.
Well, I'm over here. Does anyone else? And I will say, I mean, we're going to be working on this. I'm not going to be back to you till the beginning of April, so feel free at any time if there's something else you want to raise. What's great is that you all heard the similarities amongst them, and I think it's great for staff to hear it as well, because we know the initiatives that are underway that can help you achieve your goals. So we're going to take this away, and there may be, I'll be coming back for questions because I cribbed shortened some of the expressions. I might not know what everything meant by the end. So we'll be in contact as we work through this and bring back to you something that will look at the whole term of council. Obviously, what's going to happen this year has mostly been determined through the budget process. So we'll be aligning with what's in our budgets. And then we'll identify what we're going to be looking at for the rest of council. And then every year when we come through the budget process, that's the main way you see how we tie into the strategic plans. We align our business plans with your strategic plan, and we report every year through the budget process. And we also come to council every year and give an update, a very simple, quick update so you can see the actions that we've implemented. And we also track. We have measures for all of the areas of focus, and those are published on our website as well, so that we can stay accountable to the public as well. So you'll be seeing all of that during your term of council for the new councillors.
Thank you very much. I wonder if two councillors would like to move and second that Council Strategic Planning Session Report from the Strategy, Policy and Communications Department be received. Councillors Chin and Councillor Longo, all those in favor, and received. Thank you very much, everyone. Now, could two members of council provide us with the following motion? That council resolve into a closed meeting session for the purpose of dealing with labor relations or employee negotiations, including communications necessary for that purpose, and/or personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees employees with respect to item C1, organizational matters. Councillor Palmer, and
Just a question on that, member. Could it also be about legal matter related to solicitor client information about individuals, identifiable individuals?
why?
Yeah.
Question, just a question on that.
I'm not informed of any need for that, but anyway, this is what staff have recommended. Councillor Knoll, thank you for seconding that. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I thought the floor was going to open up for strategic management additional questions, so I'm happy to move that, but I also just had 2 questions for the whole strategic process. I can hold them until later, or I can follow up if we've already gone too far.
Why don't we just wait till we finish this item, and
Sure.
procedure will still allow you to
Yep.
ask questions.
So we're doing camera?
But listen, the mayor has only a few small powers. One of them is to move the agenda around. Let me try to accommodate you. Go ahead and ask your questions.
I read through the Appendix A, and I just had some general questions. So first of all, I wanted to know, I mean, we highlighted key accomplishments, but we didn't really hear back from staff on challenges. So for me, coming in as a new counselor and seeing that this is visited every 4 years, I would want to hear from staff too as to this is what we identified 4 years ago. These were the goals that were put into place, but these are some of the roadblocks we hit and the challenges that would perhaps help some of us to resolve those with staff and also come up with initiatives for our own specific wards. The other thing was I noticed that there was targets for every key measure, but I didn't see where we actually fell with those targets. So if we had a target of 74%, where did we come in? So I didn't really see a balanced scorecard in any of this. And so that's something I'd like to see as well, or get an understanding of where we fall once we hit these targets, how we measure ourselves and how we can assess ourselves on it.
And through you, Mr. Chair, every year when we come with our report to council and on initiatives, we do use like a red, yellow, green so that we do address those areas that we haven't been. The end of the term of council is just maybe a little bit quicker summary that we do. And then we also report out on those measures are incorporated into our budget planning process. And we have them online, so I'd be happy to meet with you and go through where we are on those matters.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
So I'd just like to make sure I heard that correctly. So the counselor is looking for, in effect, a gap report. What we didn't meet, how far off were we, and what's our analysis about what we're going to do about it. Okay. Anybody else? In that case, we've already carried the motion to resolve into the session as described in the motion, and I would ask the clerk to arrange the room for a meeting closed to the public for these purposes which are allowed under the Municipal Act and our procedure. Would anybody like a 2-minute break?
Your Worship, the cameras will be off. Thank you.
All right, council is resuming its public session, having resolved into a closed meeting session for the purpose of dealing with labor relations or employee negotiations, including communications necessary for that purpose and/or personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees with respect to item C1, organizational matters. This closed session is permitted by the Municipal Act and the Procedure Bylaw. And council, I now need a mover and seconder for the motion that the confidential verbal update from the CIO and the confidential report from the Human Resources Department dated January 25th be received. Councillor Sanju and Councillor Knoll, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. We now need a mover and seconder for consideration of the confirmatory bylaw. Councillor Longo and Councillor Chisholm, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Council, that completes our agenda. It's been terrific working with you. Thank you for your time and attention, and we are adjourned.